Thank you. Welcome to the 36th Colliers Trends in the Real Estate Market presentation. Before we kick off the program, I'd like to recognize George Lovejoy, former chairman and president of Merthyr Grew, and long-term guidance to our firm. George, would you please be recognized? George has had an extraordinary legacy in the real estate world and is a great mentor to a number of us. We have a packed program today, after which I expect you will have a substantive view of the overall supply and demand economic factors influencing our real estate market. My partners will explore in depth the Boston, Cambridge, suburban office, industrial markets, and R&D markets. We will also focus on the retail sector, the investment sales market, and the capital markets. Looking at the whole fabric of our real estate economy, however, we are confident that 2015 will be a very strong year in all sectors, subject, of course, to a geopolitical crisis or financial system contagion. As we know so well, recoveries are very gradual, but downturns can be precipitous. However, before we get started with our real estate program, I would like to comment on the seismic event of last Thursday. As you know, Boston was selected as the United States candidate for the host city of the 2024 Summer Olympics. A year ago, our keynote speaker for this conference was John Fish, CEO of Suffolk Construction. John focused his remarks on raising the prospect of hosting the 2024 Olympics. Why not ask the question, he said. Why not look at the possibilities? Why not prepare the region for the next 10, 20, or 30 years? Why not accept the challenge? The theme of our conference today is innovation, defined by MIT economics professor and Nobel laureate Robert Solow as the driver of long-term sustainability, economic growth, and prosperity. We see innovation all around us, from Kendall Square to the seaport, from startup companies like BriefMe to mature companies like Raytheon, from our colleges and universities to our world-class healthcare, research, and clinical networks. However, we have huge challenges. One might argue that we have an Achilles heel in our economy. It's our infrastructure, deferred maintenance in the billions, highways, bridges, and the need for new capital investment in the infrastructure to ensure growth in our economy for years ahead. The cost of not doing a program is not acceptable. It is not an option. Maybe, just maybe, the Olympics will be the galvanizing element to bring all the resources together, not only to have a successful Olympics in 2024 for Boston, Massachusetts, the region, and the country, but also to create a legacy to improve our quality of life for decades to come. I welcome back John Fish to give us his view of the Olympic challenges and opportunities. John.
Tommy, thank you for that wonderful introduction. And I'd like to thank all of you, the members and friends of the real estate industry, who are with us this evening. It's an absolute honor and privilege to be here. 1 year ago today, I was fortunate to be the keynote speaker for this Colliers International annual event. Mayor Marty Walsh was just days into his first term as the mayor of the city of Boston. And during his inaugural, he promised to listen, to learn, and to lead. I think all of us here today can agree that Mayor Walsh kept his promise over this past year, and one could argue went well beyond. At last year's Colliers event, and during my keynote address, I spoke about the growth and future of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Specifically, I spoke about how we must create value if Massachusetts is to grow and succeed in the long term, and how we must invest in transportation and infrastructure, and most importantly, invest in a cross-reasonable transportation strategy that benefits the entire Commonwealth. A strategy that can unlock the value outside of 128 and increase the value inside of 128, both north to south and east to west, and how we must leverage public-private partnerships and work together to make this ambitious vision for the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts a reality. Then, not surprisingly, I discussed the concepts of Boston hosting the Olympic and Paralympic Games in 2024 and how those games could provide a pathway to that sustainable growth, and how the games could serve as a catalyst for more important, long overdue discussions about transportation and workforce housing, and how the games could lead us to our vision for the year 2030, which happens to be the 400th anniversary of the great city of Boston and arguably the birthplace of democracy. By the way, I learned over the past 12 months while working with the United States Olympic Committee something very interesting, and something that I should be very, very careful about when I talk about the 400 years of democracy in Boston, especially in front of the International Olympic Committee. And what I learned is that Russia, China, and places like North Korea don't care about democracy. In places like Rome, they're not that impressed with 400 years. At any rate, here we are 1 year later. It's truly amazing to me how fast this past year has traveled. And no doubt, today, our economy is stronger and more vibrant than ever. Our unemployment rate is down, our GDP is up, and probably most importantly, consumer confidence continues to be on the rise. Today, one of the most impressive gaming resorts in history has also been approved and will be breaking ground soon. And this evening, we are fortunate to have with us Mr. Steve Wynn, probably one of the most celebrated entertainment resort developers in the entire world. Mr. Wynn is planning to invest over $2 billion to build an absolutely spectacular gaming resort experience in Everett that will rival any resort in the country, if not the entire world. And finally, there's another accomplishment we can proudly point to today as Bostonians that we could have only have dreamt about a year ago. An accomplishment that makes me extremely proud and honored to call Boston my home. We all heard that the city of Boston has been chosen to represent the United States of America in its quest to bring the Olympic and Paralympic Games back to the American shores in the year 2024. Just think about that for a second. I know I have. Our Boston beat out 3 world-class cities for this prestigious prize in honor. Cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Truly incredible. And today, I am more confident than ever that the Olympics can have a transformative impact on our community now and in the future, and for many, many generations to come. In fact, I argue we've already seen the great benefits to our city and the Commonwealth that have resulted from the bid process over this past 12 months. The bid process and partnerships with the USOC has brought, I would say for the first time, government, business, and the academic institutions together like never before in our history. The bid process has served as a catalyst for serious conversation about our city's legacy. It has accelerated discussions about areas that we have been holding back for years, like transportation, infrastructure, housing, and how we deal with globalization. And it has allowed us to share a unique and compelling story with the nation but also with the world. In fact, in 24 hours after the United States Olympic Committee announced Boston as its partner, there were over 85 million tweets from individuals around the globe that want to voice their excitement about the Olympic Games in 2024. 85 million tweets. Just think about that. But it's important to realize this process will be a marathon, not a sprint, and that we have only just begun the race. It is now time to sell the Olympics to Bostonians and to sell the city of Boston to the world. This is an incredibly exciting time for Boston and a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for all of us. And what's most thrilling about this opportunity is that every one of us here tonight can play a role. In fact, I would argue a critical role in the bid process. Gaining public support is one of the most important objectives we must achieve to make this bid successful. And we are confident this will happen once people learn more about our plans. So I encourage you to get involved and make your voices heard. Attend one of the 9 upcoming public meetings we have planned over the next month and a half to 2 months. Learn the facts about the bid and ignore the rumors. Volunteer to help. More than 70,000 volunteers turned out in the London Olympics. You can help Boston declare victory over the British for a second time in history by helping us turn out more than 100,000 volunteers in 2024. Assist with fundraising and become ambassadors to this effort and the city of Boston and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Let us all work together to bring the world's most important and historically significant sporting event to Boston and back to the United States of America in 2024. Thank you for your support.
Thank you, John. And for those of you in the back, come on up. There's plenty of seats, particularly over here. We don't want you to be standing for the program. Before we leave the Olympic stage, I'd like to do a quick shout-out for Angela Ruggiero, who, as you may know, was a great Olympian hockey player. She's voted the best women hockey player in the world. 4 Olympic medals, gold medal, 2 silvers, and a bronze. And she is a graduate of Harvard Business School, and she was a swing supporter and a huge fan of Boston and to get the nod for the Olympics. So she also happens to be a former colleague of Colliers, so a little plug for her and for her great work. So with that as a background, I would love to bring up Ron Perry, president of Colliers Boston, for a profile of the Boston office market. Ronnie.